We've already discussed how to play the base game of Battlestar Galactica and how all the mechanics and the rules work. None of the expansions by themselves are enough to warrant a separate video. So instead, the different expansions are going to come up in the gameplay videos as the channel progresses. We're going to start a series now that is my rankings for the characters in each different category and what my favorite characters for each category are. Hello and welcome to the channel. I am the Redneck Gamer. We're going to be talking about the political leaders in Battlestar Galactica. Alright, so I'm not going to get into what expansions they come in and everything, but these are all of the political leaders in the Battlestar Galactica board game. And this is also just so happens to be the order of succession they would be in if you have multiples of them. Laura Roslin, Gaius Baltar, the political version of Gaius Baltar, and when we get to some of the other categories, you'll see why I specify that. Tom Zarek, again, political Tom Zarek. Ellen Ty, Tori Foster, Romo Lampkin, and political Leodama. Political leaders is kind of a weird one, and it's because the best character as president isn't the best character as a character. And it kind of flips back and forth with that. There's a couple discrepancies in there, but but overall it's a very complicated topic. So let's start with breaking down each character individually on a base level as far as what their card draws are, what their abilities are, and what their advantages as president is. Start with Madam President herself, Laura Roslin. So on her turn, she draws 3 politics cards, 2 leadership cards. And then every time it is her turn, her religious visions ability lets her draw 2 crisis cards, and then choose one of them. Or she can also, one time per game as a skilled politician, draw 4 quorum cards, which are those presidential power cards, or choose one to resolve right now and place the rest at the bottom of the deck. But what's unique about her with that is she does not have to be president to do that. She can just at any given time choose to resolve quorum cards as long as she's not a revealed cylon. Her negative, on the other hand, is pretty rough. You have to discard 2 skill cards to activate a location. It's not a huge deal if you're doing a lot of card actions. The problem is, in order to get the quorum cards that usually end up helping humanity, she has to activate the president's office on Colonial One. So as much as she starts as president. If she's in the game, she is the president, no matter what. Um, it's hard for me to say that she's the best option. She's one of the best, but only as president. As just a straight character, if for whatever reason she was to lose the presidency, she's not good as just a straight character. Literally, her once per turn is her character abilities are probably the only saving grace for her as an individual character goes. Next up, we have Gaius Baltar. Oh god, I hate this guy. Um, 2 politics, 1 leadership, 1 engineering. Diverse enough, and when you have his delusional intuition added into it, that gets him his 5th card, and it definitely is advantageous that they can be from outside of what he normally draws. But politics and leadership are probably the ones that come up the most in game as far as skill checks go. So you're never going to have any of those, and if you want to do anything as a political leader or as president with Gaius Baltar, you kind of have to have the politics cards. Plus the fact that he starts with 2 loyalty cards is just, it's not twice as likely, but you're more likely to be a Cylon, and even if you're not a Cylon, you're always under suspicion because everybody is looking at you because you have 2 cards. And even the skill checks that let somebody check a skill card, they're not going to check you, and you're going to be instantly suspicious. because they'll only be able to look at one of yours, and you could get away with them seeing the non-cylon card. That brings us to Tom Zarek next. 2 politics, 2 leadership, and 1 tactics. Uh, his friends in low places sounds like it's a big deal, but in all honesty, the group that I play with, it doesn't come up that much. Unconventional tactics definitely does, though. That has saved humanity on more than one occasion. And again, convicted criminal doesn't really come up a whole lot. Of the 3 that you get in the base game, he's probably the one I dislike the least as far as just being a straight presidential character goes. Especially since even if he's not president, he's decent as just a normal character too. So if for some reason you're playing a game where you have 2 political leaders, he's a viable option no matter whether he's a Cylon or not, or no matter whether he's president or not, no matter whether he's Cylon or not. That goes to Ellen Ty. Oh, Ellen. 2 politics, 2 leadership, which is pretty standard for any decent political character. Laura Roslin gets more politics, and Gaius gets 1 less leadership. So that's Laura's better at the politics stuff, and Gaius isn't as good of the leadership. But she draws a treachery card. Treachery cards add a bunch of weirdness to the, not a bunch of weirdness, but they add weirdness to the game. That as a Cylon, she is tremendous. As a human, she is one of the worst, or as a human, she is one of the worst characters out there. And your movement in the same location as another player, you can give them a skill card. Yeah, you can give that player a skill card and draw 2, and then once per game you can take either admiral or president. Manipulative, I believe. The fact that you only get it for 1 turn makes it so it's not as overpowered as it sounds at first. Political adroit, that does help, or can help quite a bit. The problem is when you start dealing with a bunch of Cylons and then and then the Cylons start revealing. That's kind of the problem there. Her abilities are useful, but very situational, and her card draw as a Cylon just lends itself to being extremely problematic for humans, which is what Cylons want to do. As a human, she has so many negatives to overcome. I really don't think she's worth it as a character. On to Tori Foster. My personal opinion, she is in the top, or at least in the top 3, if not the top contender for best president. 3 politics, which political cards add a bunch of political powers anyway. 1 leadership and 1 tactics. After a player uses an action on a quorum card, you can draw 2 skill cards of your choice. So Tori is a card drawing machine, especially when she is president and she can do the quorum cards. She is a card drawing machine. And then influential is once per game you can examine the top 5 cards of the quorum deck and return them to the top of the deck in any order. She doesn't get to keep them, but she can kind of sway things and say, no, you draw quorum cards, draw quorum cards, draw quorum cards, or don't draw quorum cards, which can be both, or which is potential to be both helpful as a human, that you can weed through all the sucky ones and get the decent ones up top, or put the sucky ones up top as a Cylon. Then that casts suspicion onto whoever the president is if it's not you. You're saying, why is the president not playing any quorum cards? Because nobody ever believes you when you don't have good quorum cards. The negative, she has to choose the first option on any crisis card that, say, a player or current player chooses. That's not really that big a deal, to be honest, because as a human it sucks because oftentimes the first option is not the good option, or that can make you lose the game if you're forced to choose something. But at the same time, if you're a Cylon, a good way to get suspicion off of you is that because you can legitimately claim I did not have a choice. I had to choose it because of the rules. And then to Romo. My God, I hate this guy. Three politics, two tactics. So again, one of the worst card draws in the game. The abilities deceitful. Crisis card requires you to discard. You reduce the number by one. It's not really that big a deal. And then you can move a character or from the brig to anywhere or to any non-hazardous, so anywhere that's not the brig or the sick bay. Then you take all of their skill cards. That is good if you're a cylon and you know who your cylon buddy is. That is one of the worst once per game abilities in my opinion if you are a human, because more than likely you'll be setting a cylon free. And then kleptomania, if you end your movement in the same location as another player, you have to discard two. If not, you're sent to the brig. The only the only thing that makes this not super sucky, especially considering how mediocre at best the rest of his abilities are, is the fact that he is not likely to be president, and that's about it. And the reason I say that is you don't want your president in the brig because they can't draw quorum cards like crazy to try and help things out. That's basically everything I have to say on the guy. He's mediocre at best, and at best doesn't happen very often. Then opposite end of the spectrum, another one of, in my opinion, the Tori Foster level is President Lee Adama. Tactics of piloting and two of either leadership or politics. He's got a wide enough card draw to where he is an excellent straight character. Because he still draws piloting cards, he can still be a pilot. So there's enough positive there already that carries over that makes him just that much better. And then his abilities: forward thinker. After you use an executive order and they've finished taking their actions, you can activate your current location. That is that ability honestly almost breaks the game. If used correctly, that is, as a human, that's one of the most powerful one, arguably the most powerful once per turn abilities in the game. As a Cylon, it's also pretty good because it casts suspicion away from you because you're doing even more to help humanity, which is making you look human, which is what you want to do. And then once per game, when you have to choose on a crisis card, you can choose to have the result be, or the current player discards five skill cards, which again, you you can avoid a huge card mine, or you can avoid a huge skill card pit in some of them, or in some of the more powerful ones. You can negate a decision that would screw humanity over no matter what, and you can really screw over or a hidden or you can really screw over a not very well hidden Cylon if you're really careful with it. And the negative: when you draw a mutiny card, you must discard two skill cards. It hurts a little bit, but it could hurt a whole lot worse. And with how good the rest of his abilities are, that's a good trade-off to have. All the political characters. Who would I say my favorites are? As president, Laura Roslin, Tom Zarek, and it's a toss-up between them. As a character, Lee, Tori, and as much as I hate to say it, Gaius. There's worse options out there. There's definitely worse options out there, but he's nothing special as president. Um, he's my opinion, he's actually better as a normal character just because then he can run around and do normal character stuff instead of being stuck in Colonial One and being forced to do presidential things. Worst characters on this list: far and away Ellen Ty and Romo Lampkin. And when we get done with all the different categories, I'll add in who I think what I think the best combinations of characters are, especially for different numbers of players and how new different players are. But that is everything I have for you today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button. If you want to see more like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you want to see this and other similar games that will be talked about on this channel or played out in real life, be sure to follow me on Twitch. Link will be in the description. Also, twitch.tv/redneckgamer92. But that is everything I have time for today, guys. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you next time. May the force be with you as you live long and prosper, so say we all.